First up, do we have any communications for tonight?
Yes, we do. There is one communication to read into the minutes.
Okay. Okay, somebody's echoing. Could we, if we're not talking, please?
All right, checking for an echo now. Seems a bit better. Okay, this comment is from Zayn Khan. Hello, I'm Zayn Khan, chairperson of the Surfboard E and student board member. I want to thank you all for taking up our request to add a surf representative to TAC and hope the first reading today can be approved as is. Also looking over the document for student emails, I think the parameters set accordingly to grade level are well made. Email capabilities for high school students would go a long way for high school students to contact teachers, staff, and ensure strong communication. These emails could also be used for emailing outside organizations for school-related projects and initiatives. For elementary school students, these emails would allow students to contact teachers when they have questions, especially during distance learning, which would also lessen the burden on parents to be extra involved in their elementary student education. My younger brother, who is an elementary school student, also recently got his email, and I've seen him bridge much needed connections and interactions with his classmates through email that are very hard to create in an online setting, especially for young students. I look forward to seeing the decisions made today in your meeting.
Great, thank you. Right, moving forward. Did everybody have a chance to look at the do you want me to share my screen or do people just have it up? No. No? Okay. So can I get a motion to approve tonight's, did I miss a step? Approve, yeah, I don't have approve the agenda on here. I have approved last minutes, but I don't have approve agenda. When did that fall off? So we'll need to approve tonight's minutes or tonight's agenda. Gee whiz, I'm tongue-tied tonight, sorry.
Make a motion to approve the agenda.
Thank you, Ann. Do I get a second?
Allison McCauley, I'll second that.
Okay, thank you, Allison. All those in favor of approving tonight's, any discussion? I'm sorry. Discussion? No. Okay, no discussion. So all those in favor of approving tonight's agenda, please say aye.
Aye.
Or raise your hand.
Aye.
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 Any opposed?
Aye.
All right, the agenda has been approved. Do people have a chance to look at the minutes from last meeting? I get a motion to approve the minutes from last month's meeting.
I'll make a motion. This is Bart.
Thank you, Bart. And can I have a second, please? No second for the minutes?
I don't want to second my own creation, but
That's right.
Is that possible, or?
I'm not sure.
I'll remain silent on that then.
Okay, did people not have a chance to look at them?
I'll second.
Okay, thank you, Tom. Any discussion? All right, all those in favor of approving last month's minutes, please say aye or raise your hand. Any opposed?
Linda, this is Kant. I'll abstain since I was not present.
Me too.
Yes, and Allison will abstain as well. That's correct.
Correct.
All right, so the motion passes. Last month's meeting minutes have been approved. All right, moving forward to old business. We have the first reading of the changed surfboard E member. addition addition to the bylaws. Bart, do you want to read them real quick or?
Sure. So working through a couple groups of feedback from the different meetings, this is the first read now of a adjusted bylaws. So this would be under Article 4 under membership. Under A, classification, there would be a new number. Number 3 would be added, and then the two that are there would be bumped down. So it would read 3, student member. 1 student representative shall be appointed by the Students United for representation to the Fremont Unified School District Board of Education, or known as SURF Board E. Student member shall be a voting member. The term of the student member shall be defined as 1 year starting at the first fall meeting. A student member shall be subject to bylaws membership, C and D, and are ineligible for officer election.
Bart, I'm so visual. Is that written down anywhere that we can look at it?
It's at the base of the
Agenda?
agenda, yeah.
Okay, I got you. Thank you.
Yep.
All right, could I get a motion to approve this first reading of the addition of a SURF Board E member?
I'll move.
Was that Michelle?
Yes, I'll move that motion.
Okay, thank you, Michelle. Can I have a second, please?
I'll second, Tombert.
Thanks, Tom. All right, any discussion? Wow, all right.
I'm
No
sorry.
discussion.
Can I,
Allison?
yeah, can I just ask, it says subject to bylaws membership C and D. What does that mean? I'm sorry. I need to open the bylaws.
I think one of them is the fact that they need to attend meetings. They need to attend at least %, I think, of meetings.
Okay, Bart
And
says
I'm not-
that's right. Yeah.
What the other one is, Bart, what's the other one?
We can't hear you.
You're muted, Bart.
Sorry, I'd have to look it up too. It's on our
Okay.
bylaws. But I think
Yeah,
Yeah,
I can
sorry, I
look
didn't
up
realize
right
that was
now.
in there. I should have checked it beforehand.
it's pretty just administrative, whatever it was. But let me take a look here.
Lucas, did you find it? You had your hand up.
Sorry, I just needed to break in. I think we have at least one member who's waiting to get into the meeting. Robert? Who?
In, because I didn't have to approve anybody to get in.
Yeah, neither did I. Sometimes I have to do that too. Is he
Yeah, I
checking the old, maybe he's in an old link. We had a couple links floating around.
If he goes to the,
I will resend him the link.
Okay, thank you, Lucas. We find the bylaws? Quick.
Let's see. So C and D. All right. C is resignation. So a member can resign by filing a written communication. And D is removal. So that was the 70% of meetings.
Okay,
Cool. Thank you. I appreciate you taking the time to look that up.
No worries.
thank you. I am still looking for it.
It's a long.
I'm in the
it's long.
bylaw. I'm in the
long
bylaws,
bylaw.
but
Yeah.
it is. I have it now. Okay. Is there any further questions or discussion? All right. All those in favor of approving the first read of the addition of a Surfboard E member to TAC, please say aye.
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 Okay, any opposed? Any abstentions? Me and Tom, you had your hands raised. Was that on the ayes or the abstentions? Ayes.
That was on the eyes.
Okay, Stephanie?
Yeah, that was on the eyes.
Okay, thank you. I'm sorry. They popped up after I said any nays. So
It's not your fault. It's a lag in the technology.
okay. All right. So the motion passes for the first read. We will have a second read at the next meeting. And now on to the second read of the student Gmail policy. To bring this up and display it, or do people have it up on their screens already? Me not sharing? All right. Okay, so we did make it, we passed the first read last meeting. Does anybody have any objections to the read that we had? Discussion. So does anybody want to make a motion for me to approve the second reading of the student Gmail policy? Michelle, are you making a motion for me? Your hand's raised. I'm sorry, I see these little hands pop up.
I will make a motion, Allison, if nobody else is.
Okay, thank you, Allison. Can I
I'll
have a second?
second.
Thank you, Bart.
I'll second Bart.
Okay, any discussion? Questions or comments regarding this, the Gmail policy that we went over? All right, we'll put it to a vote then. All those in favor of accepting the second read of the student Gmail policy, please say aye or raise your hand.
I'm sorry. Super quick point of order. I just realized, even though I was involved in the drafting of the policy, I was not at the first read. Am I allowed to propose it as a, maybe someone else should do it?
Okay.
I'll make the motion.
Okay,
All right,
thank you.
Tom.
Bart, do you still second it? I'm sure you do.
Yep, I still second.
Okay, thanks, guys. Just in case. I don't want to.
Okay.
Yeah.
As a point of order, I think you would be fine for approving a second read. is how I-
Okay, cool,
is how
cool.
I hear it.
Just checking. I'm familiar with the policy, but I realized I missed last meeting. So.
So all those in favor of approving or passing the second read of the student Gmail policy, please say aye.
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 Any oppositions? Abstentions? All right, so we've got a second read passage of the student Gmail policy. Now, does this go on, where does this go from here?
Maybe Lucas, but I think basically we're going to provide this to the executive board as our recommendation or no, our advisory document if they want to turn on Google Gmail.
Okay.
We've gone through and vetted what we consider reasonable language if they do want to implement. So we'll pass it on to the executive board, probably through Lucas, I would suggest.
Okay, sounds good. Sounds good. All right, on to new business. This meeting is moving quite quickly. I don't think the board members are going to be able to join. Anyway, so we talked. We talked last month about getting a subcommittee together to review and revise the technology use board policies. But
Yeah, I'll definitely share about this a little bit tonight. So for those who were on the committee last year, we spent a good part of the year updating and reviewing language for the student use of technology policy and the administrative regulation, and also the employee use of technology board policy and administrative regulation. There's an existing policy called BP 3531.1. I think I'm remembering that policy correctly. And a lot of what the current policies that we worked on have in them, some of it came from that policy, but it's a policy that we'll probably end up deprecating. But one of the things, there's really two things that we need to finish up this year as a committee, which is we want to enhance the policies to take into account some of the new distance learning technologies that we've been utilizing. One with the possibility that we would continue to have to do some form of distance learning possibly next year or anytime for really no matter what reason. Hopefully it isn't, hopefully we're not in this situation next year where we're doing distance learning because, the new COVID variants are so problematic. But having policies in place to support our use of any type of technologies for distance learning is a good thing to have. And then in addition, really evaluating that other policy to make sure that all of the items in there have been accounted for in the two new policies. And I just want to reiterate that the reason for that is because one of our goals as a district as a whole is to align our policies with what the California I can't remember the acronym now, but the group that handles the policies, that provides model policies, we want to make sure we align our policies with their numbering whenever possible. And so a lot of the policies in the district, not just technology ones, historically were created before some of these model policies even existed. So if you were to go out and look at other school districts, for example, you would not see a 3531.1. You would only see a 6163.4, which is the model policy, and then the staff one, which I think was 4120. It's been a while since I looked at these, but that's what you'll see out there. And in those policies, you'll see the business language, the instructional language, and all of the administrative regulation. The other upside of using those two policies is that there is a model policy for the board policy, and then of course the administrative regulation is what we really worked on. So when this goes to the board ultimately for approval, they will do a review of the board policy, make sure it's in within the bounds of the law, which CSBA, that's the term. So the California School Board Association, they have model policies for both of those, and they've been vetted by attorneys. So really the language there is pretty short. It's really, for those who might be watching tonight too, board policies are a framework, and the administrative regulation is really how is that carried out in a very practical way for our district. And so we want to get in alignment with CSBA as much as possible and move away from the old policy model. So that's the big picture.
All right. Thank you, Lucas. So we're looking at some members to form a subcommittee to help Lucas go through and revise and review our current policies and to possibly deprecate. Did you have a question?
Yeah, still as a freshman member of the committee, I don't have any information on the when and where and how a subcommittee meets. Can anybody offer some insight to that? Because that might influence my participation.
I just put a link
Art
to
has an example for you.
our working document. So the previous one on the Gmail subcommittee was done on a Google Doc, and we would chime in either with comments or just right into the document itself. And there's actually a good bit of responsible use tech policy stuff in here that would probably be good for the subcommittee to kind of use also. So there's some shared folders with other schools and things like that. So this might be an example, certainly in the virtual online committee mode, subcommittee mode.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Okay, Lucas.
Yeah, and I appreciate the question, Ellie. I just want to share that typically, at least the way we did it last year, is when we did have the subcommittee, I don't believe we ever did meet in person, but we certainly could choose to do that. But it is a legitimate way for us to do advisory committee work outside of the regularly scheduled meeting each month. And then typically we would come back and then report to the committee on the findings, and then there was then we would discuss as well what was presented. So that's kind of the process, and we can repeat that, of course, as many months as we need to get this through to completion.
Okay, thank you, Lucas.
The other one
Allison?
I would toss in. Oh, sorry.
Oh.
I jumped.
Wait a minute, Bart, I got Allison.
I had a question, and it might just be that I didn't understand it. We did a ton of work on this already. Are we starting over or building upon that work that we already did? I'm just confused. That's probably more of a Lucas question. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, so the work that we did last year, this is what we're talking about now is going to build on that.
Okay.
So even like the email piece, we're going to obviously, I mean, it's my belief that we are going to have email accounts, even if it's not until next year. And I think we want to propose building that into the language so that it wouldn't, at least at a minimum, it would not preclude us from having email accounts for students. And I just think we want to build a policy that's going to be as future ready as possible, including the administrative regulations. So I would anticipate that the end product is going to look very similar, but it's going to have some improvements to it.
Thank you. That helps.
does anybody have any, go ahead, Bart.
The other piece just around the general subcommittee feel, as a reminder, it's not supposed to be very large, so it becomes a majority of it becomes a meeting. And I think when Lucas was running part of it, we fed him a lot of the emails. He would kind of digest it and then bring it back to the TAC from there too. So that's another way to, as long as the document that I shared was only shared amongst the subcommittee until we were done, and then that way it's stays within a smaller group and within the parameters of not holding a meeting inadvertently.
Right. Yeah, so we'd only be looking at 3 or 4, maybe 5 people to work on this if people are interested. Other questions or comments or interest or? Is anybody interested in sitting on a subcommittee and helping to revise? Allison?
I would, yeah, just because I worked on this a lot already. I would not mind finishing it.
That's an area
Anyone
of
else?
interest for myself. I'd like to put my name in there for consideration.
Kelly? All right. Anne, are you saying, yeah, you want to sit on it too?
This is Stephanie.
I'm saying Ellie would be great.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Go ahead, Bart.
To sit on it, I don't know if it's too staff heavy or not. So depending on how we want, if the balance, we want to get a parent in there.
Okay.
But I would be willing to be on it.
Okay, Stephanie?
I'm just putting my name in there because I worked on it last year too. But if someone else wants to do it and it's too many people, then I can take my name out.
Okay. 4 district people interested. Any community members interested in sitting on this? I know we've got a couple here.
Yeah, I can volunteer, Linda. This is Kant.
Kant, okay, thank you, Kant. All right, Kant, did you have something to say, or were you trying to get my attention?
No, I was acknowledging what I just said, so I'm trying to get lower
All
my
right.
hands now. So
Okay, Stephanie, you have your hand up as well. And I'd be interested in sitting in on it also. So 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we've got 6 here.
If it's too big, I mean, I would like for either Stephanie or I to be representing a current classroom teacher perspective, but if Stephanie's on it, I can step down. That's fine.
Okay, well, why don't you guys work amongst yourselves? You and Stephanie can decide, or if you want to step down,
Cool.
just
Yeah, no, we can do that. Just give us a second. Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. All right, so we'll circle back to that once Stephanie and Allison discuss their thoughts. So our other new business is we're coming up. I know it's only February, but we are starting to come up on Lucas needing to give names to the school board for future community members to participate in the TAC committee. I don't have the list offhand. I think people usually get to Robert. Robert usually handles this. I guess he couldn't get into the meeting because I didn't see anybody in a waiting room anywhere. But he usually handles all this, and he has like actually it's on the website. I can look on the website. Whose tenure is up this year. So we basically have Gautam is up, Robert is up, Kant is up, and then we have the open position as well was up this year. So this was the second year for him. So we would end up, or is that right? No, I'm sorry. Alec was new last year. So we actually had an open position. That's odd. We actually had a community member open position. Strange. But so we have Alak if he's, I haven't heard anything from him. I didn't touch base with him before the meeting. But I'll touch base with him this week and see what his status is. But anyway, so the people that I had mentioned, if you're interested in reapplying for another 2-year term, you would fill out another application and get it. You don't have to fill out another application. Basically, just take the one that you've already done and update the dates, and then get those to Lucas if you're interested. And Lucas, do you have something else to add?
Yeah, I just wanted to reiterate that a little bit of the process. I'm not going to go into a lot of detail, but I wanted to remind everyone that the board members have to vote on this in the last meeting in May. Last year, I think we were 1 meeting past that, but either way, it worked out. So the last meeting in May is when the board will actually select the 4 members from the applicants that applied. And typically I have to have my board agenda item posted 1 month in advance. And so last year I was kind of really right up till the very end and getting it in. So this year, that's why we brought up the topic at the February meeting here, just so that we're not scrambling next year. And Linda is correct that typically we send out there's like a couple communication email lists that I think Robert has access to for the different communities. And so that's where a lot of our parent applications come from. But of course, I do want to reiterate too that if you go any community member who might be watching tonight or that you know who might be interested, we have an application that's available right on our website. And as I receive those, then of course I'll hang on to them. And the other piece is just for all of our members, I think there's been a little bit of inconsistency about filling out new applications. And I'm just going to ask everybody to do that just because one of the pieces of information on there is how long have you served on TAC? And so sometimes we'll get an application and that has been updated, but that information wasn't updated. And you might also have some new experiences that are relevant for the community. And just so you guys know too, the board members take this very seriously. They evaluate every single application, and sometimes they will reach out to me and ask me a question. And of course, my job is to be very neutral. So if they're asking about someone's technical experience, I will focus on answering to the best of my ability what that means regarding the person's technical experience. So I think just keep in mind it's important to fill that out as accurately as possible, because they look at all the factors, and I know they have a rubric of some sort that they use to determine kind of how they make their decision as to who's going to be on the board.
Thank you, Lucas. Allison?
Yeah, I just want to clarify what Lucas was just saying. Do we only fill it out if our position is up for re-election this time? Not everybody, right? Okay.
That's correct. Only if your position is up. So, and for those who are watching, we have 4 community members every year who are elected, and we have 4 new staff members who are up for election every year. Or not up for election, but who could potentially come on board. So some people will obviously stay on the committee probably, and others might resign, and we'll get new staff members on the committee.
All right. Hey, Allison, Stephanie, did you guys decide?
Sorry, sometimes it just takes me a second to get my computer to mute. Yeah, I think we decided that it makes more sense for me to do it because of the high use of secondary students of this policy, and I'll still make sure to get input from elementary voices.
So everybody so I have for the subcommittee to go over the technology use board policies would be Allison, Ellie, Bart, Elle, and then Lucas. Everybody okay with that? I will I'll put a subcommittee email list together and share it with Lucas, and we will be good to start, I guess. All right, that's all of our business. Lucas, you want to give us your update?
All right. Well, this is going to be a nice short meeting tonight, I can tell. Just want to throw out a real quick update about our teacher laptops. Last meeting, it looked like there was going to be a severe distribution issue from Dell. Turns out just a few days later, we got an email from them saying actually we were looking pretty good. So it's kind of amazing from one day to the next. I do believe that we've received most of the laptops. I reached out today to our IT administrator, Mary Lassica, to find out if we had indeed received all of them. She was not able to confirm that with the warehouse. But what I can tell you is we have a very high percentage of our 2,000 laptops that we had ordered. And I know that they are currently being distributed out to the sites to be unboxed. And I think because there's so many of them, we're actually getting assistance with that from some of our SEIU staff, which is fantastic. And as you can imagine, it's a lot of boxes just to recycle them. So they're also assisting in breaking them down. I know that Mary sent out an email, I believe it was at the end of last week, to the principals talking about the strategy for distributing them, because one of the things that we want to avoid is having people saying, well, when am I getting my laptop? When am I getting my laptop? So we want to make sure that that is really clear. And I believe she asked that the principals would forward that to staff so that they knew that we did have a process in place. I'm seeing some thumbs up here, so it sounds like that was done. Thank you, principals. Appreciate that. I know that the team really, they're going to work as fast as they can. And I have said this at our previous TAC meetings. They did indeed come imaged from Dell, and we installed Windows 10 Education Edition, which is the equivalent of Windows 10 Enterprise. For those who don't work in the education industry, it is a specialized version of the operating system, very, very full-featured though, absolutely the equivalent of the Enterprise Edition. But the one benefit of it is it will get the big updates from Microsoft longer. So I don't remember exactly, I think it gets like 2 additional major updates beyond what typically even Windows 10 Pro gets. So that was recommended based upon our contact we talked to at Dell, who really represents all their Microsoft customers as well. So I think we got a good laptop. Again, for those who are listening tonight, I'll just reiterate a little bit about the specs. It's a 14-inch laptop with an HD webcam. It's got a 256 gigabyte solid state hard drive in it with using the M2 technology. It comes with 8 gigs of memory, so it's not quite as much memory as I would have liked, but really for the price, it's pretty phenomenal. No DVD drive or CD drive in it, but it has a full-size HDMI. It has a full USB-C. I don't remember what generation of USB-C it has, but it has a USB-C port. I know it has at least one full-size USB standard USB port, and it has an Ethernet port built into it as well. So it's got kind of all the right specs, and I think even an SD card, which probably most people won't use that, but I believe it also, if I remember, has that card. So yeah, those are the specs on the laptops. They're really nice. I've actually just been using one this last week. I picked it up and was using it, trying it out. It's a really nice machine. All right. Then I wanted to give an update. I know Allison looks like she has a question.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Allison. I was muted. I went to interrupt Lucas. And do you have something to ask?
I had a question about that last item, but is that, I can't remember if we asked questions in the update. Is that okay?
I think if it's a quick one, it's okay.
It's quite quick. My understanding is that the laptops will only have Windows Defender in terms of antivirus, and of course, we're distributing them to people who are immediately going home. Are we, as a FUD to rep, I need to ask, like, are we going to be adequately protected against viruses and malware, and is there anything that teachers need to do to ensure that?
Yeah, so you're absolutely right, Allison. As a district, we do use the security software that's built into it. And obviously we have a policy that our computers update automatically. So while we don't necessarily have, a premium solution such as Symantec or McAfee or Kaspersky or something like that, the solution is still a very good one, and it's actually very widely used in school districts. Just to give you an idea, in the previous district I came from, we did that. We didn't pay extra money. And of course, that's one of the big benefits of using the built-in security software. And even me personally, I use the built-in stuff, even though I know that it's not quite as good as some of those other solutions. The reality is, as long as you keep your computers up to date, you're going to be protected in, pretty much every situation.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I'm excited about these. I just wanted to ask that one thing. Thank you so much.
Yeah. I know that there have been some questions, and I'm sure the community would like to hear about Infinite Campus. For those who are listening, we did go live with Infinite Campus on January 4th, which is our new student information system. And I'm going to provide a little bit of nuance here for those who are tuning in. Our previous student information system is Illuminate ISI. And I did say ISI. I don't know why they use that acronym, but it's the equivalent of Student Information System. In addition to the Student Information System, Illuminate also has a product that is fully integrated called DNA. And DNA is an assessment system, and it also is used currently to support our assessments that are given by teachers and also the elementary report cards. So by implementing the new student information system, we're not doing away with Illuminate's DNA portion of the product. And actually through the end of the year, we will actually, in some ways, be running the two student information systems side by side, which gives us some advantages. It allows us to continue pulling certain information from Illuminate's student information system, while also improving our use of the Infinite Campus system. Infinite Campus, we are currently fully utilizing it for attendance, for schedules, for entering in behavior, I believe. And actually this coming week, our principals at the secondary level will get their scheduling training so that they can start their scheduling for the 21-22 school year. In addition to that, I do want to clarify a couple things. One of the pieces that we are rolling out is the parent portal. And this is really important. I've tried to be as clear as possible on this. Going forward, we will continue to use the parent portal in Illuminate with DNA. And the reason for that is even next year we will. The reason for that is because parents will continue to use the parent portal in Illuminate to look at assessments and potentially to continue doing elementary report cards. But at a minimum for this year, families will log in and they'll see the elementary report cards, they'll see the assessments. And I also want to clarify too, that for the semester 1 grades, which the grading window, I believe, just closed today, if I'm remembering right, the student information system support person has been importing that data into Illuminate. So semester 1 stuff will be available in there for our parents to see. Then once we know we have got that data cleaned up, and I'm going to say that typically, you know, there's always a little bit of cleanup that has to be done after those grades are brought into Illuminate. Once we know that that data is cleaned up and it's been pushed to the transcript section of Illuminate, we will then be converting that data over into Infinite Campus. Once it's in Infinite Campus, it will be available to the parents who set up their parent portal in Infinite Campus. So I don't want there to be confusion about, well, why are we having 2 parent portals? It's actually part of the ongoing plan. It's just that some of the things in the future will only be in Infinite Campus, but right now they're going to be in both. So once, and actually I sent out a letter last week. If you're a parent, you probably saw it. I also emailed the principals to forward on just to your, you know, so people in your building know, letting parents know that we have actually implemented Infinite Campus, explained it's our new student information system, the type of information that they're going to see in there. And then the intention is that fairly quickly here, I'll be sending out another communication to all 46,000 unique parents that will then give them their actual instructions for setting up their portal and getting logged in. From the district's perspective, we've allocated 3 people so that when an email comes in from the parents, there's an email address called Portal Support. And when we get an email from that, there's 3 individuals, 2 from Student Support Services and 1 from the IT department, who will be able to answer parents' questions. And then in addition, of course, parents can always reach out to the schools and ask them questions if they need to. So I really wanted to have that sent out today. I just haven't gotten to it. I worked on it this weekend. I've had a couple people review it. Now we have to go through the process of getting it translated into Spanish and Mandarin. It is probably not going to get out tomorrow, but I am targeting Wednesday though. The other piece, and this is really important, every year the school district has to go through the process of validating residency. And the tool that we're going to use for that is Infinite Campus's parent portal. One of the really nice things about the parent portal in Infinite Campus is that it has the ability to attach documents through the online registration piece. And I will tell you, since January 4th, we've actually been using the online registration system for our new families, and the feedback has been very, very positive. So as part of that, they've actually already been uploading their documents. And I, off the top of my head, I don't know all of those types of documents, but we've got it configured such that we have one set of tabs that brand new families go through. But when it comes time to upload the documents for proof of residency, there will be a limited number of tabs. So when I log in as that parent who's, you know, already an existing parent, I'll just have to address those tabs that are relevant for that process. So it's, you know, it's really going to be a nice system, and I've confirmed too, Illuminate did not support that as part of their parent portal, the ability to attach documents. So I think it's a good step forward, especially being in distance learning and wanting to limit the contact that we have with people just to reduce our risk of COVID. Yeah, so it's good news. I'll just share just a little bit more information about Infinite Campus. So obviously, in addition to grades, we're going to be pulling our transcripts from there. Our transcript report is almost completed. We've been doing all the testing for it. And for those families who might be listening out there, especially those senior families who are wanting to get their transcripts sent to their colleges, those will continue to be initially printed out of Illuminate, which we already have our transcript in there. It's very straightforward. And then obviously, as soon as we get our new transcript finished in Infinite Campus, we will then fully switch to printing transcripts out of that. In addition to that, we'll be tracking all of our health information, behavior information. Some of our state assessments will be stored in there. Our 504 plans, our historical ones, have already been uploaded completely into Illuminate or into Infinite Campus. And we will continue, and then we'll be creating new ones in there. Scheduling, they also do have a grade book. And I know one of the discussion points that I think we will need to at least talk about this year is whether or not we would continue into the future using School Loop as a grade book when our student information system has an integrated one. I'm just tossing that out there. And the other thing, which may be of interest to our students, we will actually have student accounts as well. Those are already being created at this time. We just need to make sure that we have a good way to roll those out. And we wanted to get them into the hands of our parents first. So that's the big picture.
Great, thank you, Lucas. That was a lot. I'm glad that the rollout is at least going a little more smoothly than it was at the beginning of last month. All right. So I think that's it for tonight. Are people happy with that meeting? All right, so we have our subcommittee. Ellie, go ahead.
I just wanted to know in terms of potential future agenda items. I know that some things were brought up last time, and I wanted to mention something about the Cisco phones. Is now an all right time?
You mean the one that Ann brought up last meeting?
Yes, I'm not looking for anything particular, but just thought I would throw in my own 2 cents that in addition to the email transcription, I know that sites would most certainly be interested in exploring the additional features of the phone that allow it to communicate to classrooms during emergencies with the scrolling marquees in the classrooms.
Okay.
So just kind of maybe a.
All right. So maybe we'll make it a little bit more general and basically the Cisco VoIP capabilities. All right. I will amend or change that one for next, and we'll discuss that on the next. Ann.
Just to chime in with Ellie, particularly because we are in distance and because our old Mitel phones have all been pulled. Staff, because we have staff on campuses now, we need at least the support documents somewhere that we can find, because I've looked for them so that we can support that kind of emergency services type of announcement scrolling, particularly in light of all the interesting weather we've been having.
Right. Go ahead, Lucas.
Yeah, I appreciate the interest in using the features with our new voice over IP system. You know, obviously part of the reason for that some of the features probably haven't been rolled out is just because of the ongoing construction projects. So I will talk with Mary Laska, who is our IT administrator, just to see, you know, I don't know, maybe it's a scenario where she sends out a communication to the schools and says, you know, for people who might be interested in additional training or whatever, let's go ahead and do this, or just asking her to get some feedback from you guys about what additional features you would like to see. And also be sure to let me know if you, I mean, I can also invite her to the TAC meeting to answer some specific questions as well.
Ellison?
Super quick question. My coworker still doesn't have a new phone and they took the old phone without putting a new phone. Is that a district work order? Is it a, like, just quick question, who am I supposed to tell?
Yeah, I would submit a help desk ticket.
An IT help?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Got you.
Yeah, I mean, I guess this could be a little bit of a part of my CTO update as well. As part of the, overall IT upgrade that has happened in all of our buildings, as part of the bond project, one of the pieces that, every district who goes through this is cognizant of is there's going to be what is called scope gap at the end of it. And the scope gap is basically those items that really, they should have gotten done, or maybe they were missed by the project. And so right now, what we are doing is instigating with our bond company, which is Vanner, on the scope gap. And so in some cases, it's like, oh, this room somehow did not get an extra data drop for the phone. This room, our standard is 7 data drops in a classroom, but they missed 4 in here. So those types of things, we are now going back and addressing those for every single building. So it's another major project for us, but really important as part of making sure that we have standardization in all of our classrooms as much as possible.
Okay, Anne, did you have something?
Lucas, I just want to say of all those bond projects and all these new things happening, you've got your data division is running 24/7, your support people, systems on behalf of the classified employees that are heavily using the student information system, and understanding all these projects with their scope gaps, or I'd call them hanging chads for Tom. Make sure Tom's listening. It's very much appreciated. There's a lot happening, and there's lots of little pieces that need to be filled in. And, we're all doing the best we can for less than 30 days into the new student information system. We're doing pretty darn well. Just, semper fi Gumby, we always say, always flexible. Department.
Thing to add?
I'm sorry, I forgot to put my hand down.
All right.
Not my fault, but I agree with all of that. You guys are doing an amazing job.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, Anne. It is hard sometimes because all I see is the problems, and I do have to say though, I do have people reach out to me, and thank me that the internet is working today. It does happen on occasion. Appreciative of that, but of course, it's hard when you're in the middle of the forest and you can't figure out how you're going to get out. Even there's just always so much happening, and it never feels, again, when I look at my team, they're pretty phenomenal. It's a pleasure to work with them. And that they're stressed out at times because they want to do a better job. They want to get the best outcome. And what I tell my team is really, are you doing the best work that you can? And if you are, that's all you can do. Even if you're not super happy with the outcome, you're doing the absolute best that you can. Remind ourselves, and even when I tell myself that, it doesn't make it easier for me at times.
Yes, Michelle.
One of the things for future topics is when you retrieve the laptops that the teachers have and they're in good condition, and for them, can they go to some of our SEIU members that have had nothing, or they're being relied on that they have to do everything on their personal equipment?
All right.
Noted.
I can put that on there. All right. Anything else? All right. Our next meeting will be the same date next month, March 1st, 2021. Lucas, did you have something to say before we went?
Yep. Just one last thing. Because this came up as an item at our last meeting, the technology for intra-district classes, we definitely noted that there was interest in that particular topic. But one of the things I just wanted to share about that is really that we've done so much work already that a lot of these technologies, we really know what it's going to take to do that if that ever becomes a reality. And so I just want to tell people, of course, that we're never going to say no to a topic if we really think that it needs to be discussed. Just know that, again, in terms of prioritizing for future topics, you know, we're trying to keep the focus on the things that we have right in front of us, knowing that spending a lot of time on things where we already have a lot of knowledge on, or we don't necessarily know what the future is. I just don't want to be doing that right now with our committee. So just know that's part of the prioritization as we're looking at the future agenda items.
All right. Thank you, Lucas, for clarifying that. Anything else? So I can adjourn our meeting, and our next meeting will be March 1st of 2021, hopefully right here.